Hello, how's everyone doing? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where and when you are watching this broadcast. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Jason Rodriguez, and I am from the city of Barranquilla, Colombia. Today is Saturday, April 4th, 2026, also known in many countries as Holy Saturday. Many people are taking a break today, but it is also a good time to reflect on where you want to take your financial life. In previous videos, we agreed that we would come back here once the transaction was completed, the withdrawal I made from Luminor. As we had indicated in previous videos, the Luminor withdrawal charged us a $1 fee. Let's take a look here. We have the account open now, a $1 fee, right? And it was said that 349 would arrive. Obviously, we could see that 346.4 arrived, plus a small balance I had there. Well, it came to 346.56. The thing is, I was checking with support, and yes, indeed, Luminor charges a $1 fee, but the receiver also charged $2.6 for the reception. That is something they have to fix. They already confirmed it to me, and they are in that process. But I also noticed that when the money actually arrived at the Littio account, for example, right here in Littio, they also made a $1 charge. So let's look here for a moment. Let me see if I close the app and open it again. It has actually been acting up a bit lately, and sometimes it just does not refresh properly right away. But it seems to be fine now. All right, done. Okay, we were able to successfully enter the Littio app without any issues. So now let's take a closer look at the transaction together. Here it is. This is the blockchain transaction right here. Blockchain top up 345 point. So look, Littio charged the commission of 1.04. Okay, here it shows the amount received, 345.52, and it also shows the time, April 4th, 2026 at 4:39 in the morning. So that's why it appeared to us that, for example, in the hash, let's go ahead and open it up right here. Well, according to what it says here, it looks like 21 hours have already passed since the last block was created. But let's take a closer look here, for example, at the TRAIEX one, since it was approved, right? Actually, if you notice, the time that has passed since approval is also shown here, which can be helpful for comparison. Since the last one was approved here, it shows here that it was 9 hours ago. Okay, this one matches the lithium one better. So look, 9 hours ago, more or less, matches the lithium one at 4 something in the morning. Here, let's see, 4:39 in the morning, right? So another important thing to highlight is that obviously, I'm using this method, but you can use any other that suits you better, right? So there's no need to suddenly make a transfer to one place and then another transfer to another place, but rather you transfer directly to your cards. If your cards allow, for example, BEP20, the Binance one, the Binance Smart Chain, or the TRC20, which is the Tron network. USDT on the Tron network, okay? So you'd save quite a bit there, let's say, because it wouldn't charge you $4 or $5, like in my case, because it charged me $1 to withdraw from Luminor, plus the $2.60 that the receiver here charged on behalf of TRAIEX. And then the transfer from TRAIEX to Lithium, Lithium also charged me for receiving it, charged me $1. So look, $4.60 were lost there, almost $5. So those two steps can easily be bypassed or omitted by transferring to a card directly from Luminor, okay? And that's one of the benefits we'll have with NeoPay or NeoBank, our system or our gateway specifically, to be able to withdraw directly to our card without any issues and without using intermediaries. That's one of the company's upcoming innovations to be launched. And with that, well, honestly, we're going to crush it because it's phenomenal. So another thing I'd really like to share with you as well that I actually think is important. For example, I've been sharing the capture pages with everyone, the links where all the information is. You can see here on social media, you can find me on all these channels here. You'll find all the details for the YouTube channel, Instagram, Telegram, my Facebook Messenger, or my WhatsApp community. Here you also have, for example, the landing pages and a selection of downloadable material that you can easily download right here from these links. everything about Luminor and TRAIEX is available, okay? You'll find everything here. So for example, regarding the landing pages, let's look at the TRAIEX case. You'll also find it in multiple languages, in all languages. Here you'll find, for example, English, Portuguese, Italian, Russian. Anyway, you'll find all of the available languages right here. And for example, for those people who have TRAIEX or who already have their own TRAIEX account, you can easily use a calculator that I've designed so you can start projecting the amounts. Because many people ask, oh, but how much would I earn with a deposit of this much? How much would I earn if I invest this much in that plan? Or if I have this many TRAIEX frozen to get a higher yield percentage? Everything is detailed right here. For instance, in the conservative plan, the risk mode mostly balanced and aggressive. So for example, it usually doesn't matter which risk level you choose. In every case it's 50-50, meaning 50% of what your algorithm generates is for you, and the other 50% is for the company. So here you can test, for example, freezing 200 TRAIEX. Here it shows freezing 500 TRAIEX. See how the percentage changes for your benefit. Freezing 1000 TRAIEX, freezing 2000 TRAIEX, freezing 3000 TRAIEX. And the maximum benefit we can get is by freezing 4,000 TRAIEX for at least 1 year. So here it tells us that 80% is for us and 20% for the company. So you can run some tests here, for example, a certain amount. Here, for instance, the starter trader is selected. That one lets you invest up to 5,000. If I change the starter trader, I set it to 1,000, it expands my investment capacity up to 10,000. If I change, for example, the plus trader, it expands my investment capacity up to 25,000. And the maximum, for example, the advanced trader lets me invest up to 250,000. So here, for example, let's set the plus trader. The basic trader, it lets me invest up to $10,000 done. And I have it with 4,000 tokens frozen for 1 year. The tokens allow me to have the maximum yield percentage. So here it tells me if I want to share this opportunity as well. With how many people, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the number of people who buy a 200 package, who buy, that's different now, right? But I can also do that practice here. I can run those tests. For example, here it shows the average earnings at 12 months, at 18 months. I can set it to 3 months, to 6 months. What will I get with my deposit, right? A 10,000 deposit. We're talking here. We can set it, for example, to a 5,000 deposit. Remember, we set up a $1,000 account, meaning the basic trader, which costs $1,000 a year, gives me a capacity to invest 10,000, but I only made a 5,000 deposit to trade, plus the tokens. So all of this here allows you to do your calculation, a projection, and you'll start to get the idea. It's not a fixed percentage or something I'm claiming that, no, it's an approximate average, because you have to keep in mind that the market behaves differently every single day. So not every day is the same. For example, if we go to the company's Telegram channel, we can see the daily reports right here. For instance, April 3rd, here it gives us the results. The standard trading bot, for example, in conservative, balanced, and aggressive modes. For example, when we look at Bitcoin, the numbers it gives us for each strategy are as follows. In the aggressive scenario, it is giving us 0.41. In the balanced scenario, it is 0.50, and in the conservative scenario, it is also 0.50. These values show how Bitcoin performs under aggressive, balanced, and conservative approaches. And in Ethereum, for example, in conservative, 0.5, 0.60 in balanced, and 0.30 in aggressive, right? The pro in conservative mode is currently showing us a value of 0.66 here. In balanced mode, it's 0.89. And in aggressive mode, it's 1.19. I mean, honestly, it's a massive difference. And for example, here in the Ethereum 1.04, in aggressive, balanced 0.62, and conservative 0.75. So we can also see, for example, on another day, April 2nd, here the classic bot in conservative 0.52, balanced 0.58, aggressive 0.3 with Bitcoin. And with Ethereum, for example, conservative 0.45, balanced 0.54, aggressive 0.63. And the pro, well, look, with Bitcoin, for example, in conservative 0.65, balanced 0.82, aggressive 0.84. And in Ethereum, 0.70 in conservative, balanced 0.59, and aggressive, well, almost 1%, 0.90. And so everyone can see all the results. The downloadable materials are also here anyway. There's enough information to make decisions, okay? And here you also see a video that clearly explains in detail how to register and how to join. Right here, for example, you will find the materials and resources to help you evaluate the business opportunity, as well as all the important details that allow you to, let's say, improve your financial situation in a significant or even drastic way. These resources are here to guide and support you throughout your journey toward financial improvement. Obviously, everyone must take their own risks, and it is important to remember to have your own financial plan, money that you are truly willing to risk. Because in trading, well, it's well known that for some people to make money, well, others have to lose it. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, and that's how trading works. But 95% of people are out there trying to win in a market that's quite unfair, competitive, highly manipulated, and they don't have access to this technology. So one of the advantages that we practically have here is that we have these types of algorithms that have truly shown unparalleled efficiency, with more than 88% of trades being positive. And in the worst case scenario, you break even or end up in a draw. So yes, it's definitely a winning robot. So to all the people who are part of our team, we're going to be giving you all these materials so you can share them directly with people, with potential prospects, potential partners, or leaders, whether they're entrepreneurs, networkers, traders, investors, or really any type of person who suddenly wants to give themselves the chance to start taking their very first steps with TRAIEX. They can absolutely do it too. And regarding, for example, Luminor, well, we also have the dedicated landing pages for Luminor, so that people who decide to share the opportunity with others also have this helpful tool available to them in different languages. For example, all these days I've been working on dubbing the videos in different countries, in different languages, so that people from different parts of the world can have this material. Also, if you happen to have people in other countries, they can have access to these trainings, to these presentations. And if they have doubts, concerns, they can also resolve them directly, either with our specialized agent or by contacting us directly through social media or the WhatsApp and Telegram groups. So we continue sharing here. For example, yesterday we were talking about how anyone can move forward with a minimum deposit, right? With a deposit of 100 Luminor, and with the volume grow and get these bonuses and commissions, okay? It's also important to highlight that all the purchases you make are with certificates. That is, you acquire the certificate, and at the end of the period, that certificate, you then decide if you buy a piece of jewelry or sell the certificate, transfer it to another person or you're going to buy a product for another person. That's already a personal decision. But at the end of a period, you can plan ahead. For example, there are people who have already decided to buy an item and they can schedule it for a certain time, and you make the sale to that person, and during all this time, you have that possibility of generating returns with these certificates that you acquire. Besides that, it can also be an opportunity for that person who wants to buy an item and definitely wants to create a business model with this area that we are launching. Because it can also be suitable depending on market values, depending on the prices, because they are really competitive prices. If you take a look at the Luminor page, you will really find a wide variety of different products available at quite competitive prices. So let's go here, for example, to the section where it says all products, and we can load, for example, the bracelets category. Here, you can see all the categories. There is also the Telegram group. Here they are telling us that there have been some updates. Technical maintenance. They also tell us that the technical work has been fully completed and that the platform is now completely operational. And that's why I was here trying to share this information with you, because it was already available. Well, it's loading here. Some of the products are still loading here. It looks like it's going to take a little while as the servers finish loading everything, right? So look, you can see there the products are just starting to appear. Let's go ahead and refresh the page again. There we go. This one has loaded up as well. Okay, we can click here. products, for example, for $2,900, $2,380, $1,624, for example, and everything detailed. Well, it's just a matter of time. But here you can see, for example, all the products and people who might have the intention of acquiring it as such and want to schedule themselves, for example, they can also do it and have the benefits of weekly rewards. Okay, that's an advantage too, that you're going to have weekly rewards. And at the end of the period, you'll still be able to acquire the product you were planning to buy. Another thing I also like, for example, here you can download all the PDFs and all the material, but if you want to register directly, you can do it by clicking here and you go directly to the page. Well, since we're logged in here, let's go ahead and log out. And here you automatically enter your details and go through the direct process. It's the same here with the TRAIEX account, for example. It'll ask for your email and then you'll enter the referral code if it doesn't ask for it automatically. And well, guys, as I was saying, anyone here can build a career with a small deposit and scale up, moving forward bit by bit, increasing their certificate to have a higher referral volume and get better bonuses and better referral commissions. So as you increase your certificate, you'll obviously have a greater capacity to generate billing volume. This isn't mandatory, but honestly, if you're interested in getting the cash back, the only way is by acquiring the certificate. That's the business model. There's no other way. The same applies, for example, to the case of TRAIEX. In TRAIEX, the entry threshold or barrier is a minimum of $300. Why? If you want to build a career, you need to buy the license. For example, the minimum one costs $200, plus the $100 you need to activate the robot. So that's $300. Whereas, for example, here at Luminor, the entry barrier is practically lower. We're talking about being able to start with $100 directly, and that already lets you build a career. So there's a huge advantage because here, for instance, it also takes into account 100% of the billing volume. Okay, and that also makes a massive difference. Here, there's something very interesting, which is that we can use the profits, those cashbacks or weekly earnings we're generating with Luminor, to feed back into our TRAIEX robots and thus have two assets working 24/7 for us. In other words, all the profits we can get here with Luminor can be boosted and multiplied using our algorithmic trading bots with TRAIEX. So I don't want to go on any longer. It remains for us to explain the entire compensation plan in detail. Let's do a presentation for those of you waiting. Stay tuned. We'll be doing detailed presentations on the compensation plan and the whole business opportunity for both Luminor and TRAIEX. So without further ado, I'll say goodbye. Until next time, bye-bye.